welcome in race fans in the dirt Turkey Week 2011. I hope everybody's short week's going to go well. Me and Brian Gray and Kyle May have driven the short bus into Studio 1A, high top Beaver Mountain.
Beaver Mountain?
Beaver Mountain. How's everybody doing?
Where the heck did that come from?
I happen to live on Beaver Mountain.
Well, you know Florence Speedway is right near a place called Beaver Lick, I think. No, it's Big Bone Lick. That's it.
Well,
dude, I'm watching this slide job with Davenport McDowell, and I don't know. He nailed him pretty good, didn't he?
Well, that's the first topic we're going to get to here on In the Dirt. Over there, that was Cherokee Speedway, wasn't it? The blue gray.
Is that where that's at? Oh, I got to rewind this again. I got to take another look at it.
No relation to Brian Gray.
Look at that.
Yeah, he wasn't at all happy.
McDowell should have hung on to it, man. I mean, he didn't hit him that hard. That was just a racing deal.
Oh, so now it's... Okay, let's bring everybody to speed. Blue-gray, good race up until the point of which we're talking. Shaver and Davenport and one Dale McDowell. Race. Racy. 3 wide, 2 wide, bumping and grinding. Early in the race, Davenport pulls a slide job. A crisscross, as the announcer there said, a crisscross move. Slide job. And he worked it to perfection the first time. Brian, take over. What'd you see the second time?
Well, I'm sitting here and I'm watching Dirt on Dirt right now. I could play you the audio, I guess, but what I seen is just a racing deal. It just looked to me like, you know, he wanted to take the shot at it, and McDowell just couldn't hang on.
Well, it may have been I think it might have been a little bit of a carryover, because there was one point on the highlights where it looked like Roberts and Davenport were racing pretty hard, and you know, Dale McDowell got in the wall earlier, prior to that, because of another racing deal. But McDowell was testy Testerson after the accident, and go. What did he do? Brian Gray?
I'm watching.
Oh, you're not up to speed yet.
Yeah, I just got it. You know, I seen some of the headlines earlier, but I'm just now getting up to speed with watching it just as we're sitting here right now. And apparently, Dirt on Dirt is overloaded or something, because it's not working very good.
I had that same problem earlier.
Did Ferguson get? It looks like Ferguson got collected into it, and who's in the 4 and the 16?
I'm not quite sure of those drivers. Now Ferguson, you know, saying he goes on and he's the inaugural champion of the Ultimate Series. So it didn't hurt him too bad. Maybe the points weren't close or something. I admit, I'll be the first one to admit I'm not really up on the Ultimate Series. But I did know it was between Chris Ferguson, Roberts, and Brendel. But yeah, so anyway, the listeners, Dale McDowell, he's in the wall in 2. They red flagged the event. Dale McDowell strolls casually from turn number 2 all the way to the front stretch, and I bet you he wasn't inviting Mr. Davenport to turkey dinner, because he was awful upset.
I seen him. There's video of him. He's getting up in the car, but I didn't see him throw no punches. If he was that mad, he should have just drug that big old boy out of there, you think?
Well,
Jonathan Davenport's not a little guy.
Yeah, he's not.
Davenport's a big guy, and Dale McDowell's not that big of a guy, so totally good to see, I think.
And they're both kind of quiet guys. They're not real emotional guys to begin with. So,
aren't those are the ones you got to watch out for?
Yeah,
I think they finished second, third at the Gobbler this weekend at Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken.
They had a Gobbler at Cleveland too.
Yep. the Cleveland Gobbler was picked up by Ray Cook, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's some more stuff to talk about. Is the Gobbler that they ran up at Moeller. I was down on the backstretch being a videographer for the first time for the DRC this weekend, and it was some pretty awesome racing. I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure we got some people coming on to talk about that one, right?
Yeah, you're going to have you have a guest coming on tonight that you're going to interview, John Sizemore, right? Was he at the Gobbler at Moeller?
Yes, Mr. Sizemore was at the Gobbler with Mike Myers, I think, crew chiefing, but not so much there racing yet. He's going to fill us in on some of the details of next season there, and
handful.
It's a pretty
right.
I shouldn't say an interesting finish, but a very racy evening. Jason Jameson ended up winning the night, starting 16th. Came from 16th, and amongst some tough competition that was there too. Jason Montgomery and the Carpenters were there, I believe. It's pretty awesome night.
So this should be about it for you guys there in Ohio, shouldn't it?
Oh yeah. That's pretty much finishing up the season. Was the Gobbler at Moeller. I don't think there's anybody else racing until the first of the year. I know that the DRC puts on the Hangover 100, I believe it's called, and they are just trying to decide which track to have it at. And my vote's going to be for Moeller, but I don't know if it's going to work out with that place or not. We'll just have to see. We'll see how bad Kim and Kevin wants it. Yeah,
this is the season to I guess get ready for Turkey Days coming up this week. Of course, a lot of us, I know you will be, Kyle will be, I will be heading off to Indianapolis here in a couple of weeks. I spend my day getting the Old Man's Garage booth ready. I'd like to thank Miss Mary Alford. She's our sign person, Racing War Paint. She's done one heck of a job for us in getting our booth ready and looking good. Kyle, how you think you're going to enjoy the big city? I'm not calling you I'm not going to call you a country mouse.
Well, you can call me that because, I mean, I went to Atlanta when I was like 9 years old and stayed for like a day, and then it was a kind of a confusing time when you're that young, so you don't really know what's going on in a big city. But now that I'm older and know what's going on, it's going to be weird, but I think I'm going to like it because I've talked to some people that's been there that I work with for Fastenal. They've been up there to Indianapolis, and they said it's nice, like downtown stuff's really nice. And I'm just looking forward to it as a trip anyway because, I'm excited about going and meeting people and handing out business cards.
And look at little networker. He's a networker. And, Brian, you guys are going. Who are you a guest of at the Indianapolis show?
I believe I'm a guest of Burt Transmission. Mr. Weber is going to either he's driving me up there, but I got a feeling it'll be me driving him up there. He's going to go up there and he's going to introduce me to some guys that he knows, and which is pretty much everybody in the dirt late model industry. It seems like he knows every daggone one of them. It's a good thing, because he lives close and I like him a lot, and he's helped me out a bunch. So.
Well, nothing concrete as of yet, but there might be a chance or two for us to get maybe some blurbs or maybe some interviews when we're not helping out our when I'm not I'll be at Old Man's Garage, booth 309, by the way, booth 309. Come check out all the Old Man's Garage parts for the late model chassis, from bird cages to weight clamps, yada yada.
Hey, you got any bird cages?
Well, we have bird cages that will go on rockets for sure. You guys can come by. All our bird cages will fit just about any chassis out there. I mean, the axle tube is what it is, and we got the dual bearing bird cages.
Can I get a discount on one of them, Webb? A pair?
Wow, Kyle, you hear that? Kyle, tell him what you're getting. Tell him what kind of discount you get.
I get nothing. I've had 100 people ask me if I get it.
Oh, man. That ain't even right. That was going to be my next stop. I was going to call Kyle up and say, hey, Kyle, sneak in that shop over there and get me some of them bird cages. I'll slide you a $100 bill.
That's exactly what people do.
Well, thankfully, we have an honest driver at Old Man's Garage. All right, guys. Well, we're going to take our first quick break. When we come back, I've sat down. I pre-recorded an interview with Scott Geary. He is a representative of Geary Motorsports from Queensland, Australia. His father, Paul, has been in the business 25, 30 years racing what's called the Super Sedan. He was the club president. He was a champion 3 or 4 years ago. Not quite sure on when he was a champion. But we've been talking with the Gearys down there. They actually, not to go back to Old Man's Garage, but they're actually a dealer, and we also sponsor their team down there. And interesting conversation coming up with Scott Geary. And I'll tell you what, we will be right back, and we'll be talking to Scott Geary. All right, race fans, it looks like we are having some technical difficulties here. You there, Brian?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, this
we lose Kyle?
Well, no, I've got this recorded on a platform here, and I was wondering if it was going to work, but a buddy of mine let me know there was dead air, so that's never good. Let's see here. Let me go back to our commercial break and try to figure out a way to get this onto a different computer. And we'll be right back when we'll have the interview with Scott Geary. All right, race fans, we're back. And let's see if I got this right. Brian, you still with us?
Yep, I'm still here. Hey, you can always call him up. It's only, about 7 o'clock in the morning down there?
Well, it's 16 hours ahead of me, so actually it's about 10 o'clock, and they're probably down there at the shop giggling at me for making this mistake here. Like I said, I'm not perfect at all this, and it looks like we're going to have to wait on this for a second, because I'm at a loss here to get it. But what we will do is we've got Mr. Jason Neely calling in here in about 5 minutes. We'll move on to him, preview him a little bit. He's a racer. Well, okay, I shouldn't say he's a racer. He wanted to be a racer, and he tried to get involved in the sport, and something happened, and that's where he'll pick his story up. Brian, give us a little bit of what you experienced at Moeller over the weekend.
I watched Jason Jameson pass everybody in the field and end up winning it. And I guess there was a little bit of controversy at the end. I don't know how much controversy there really was, but there was it was tough. I watched him and Barry Doss battle it out for at least 5 or 6 laps, and I mean through traffic. And these guys are running. There's lap cars trying to pass each other, racing for whatever spot they were racing for, and then Jason and Barry coming up on them, and it was just a wonder that there wasn't some cars flying everywhere, because at one point in time I think they were 4 wide coming off a 2 going on to the back stretch, completely sideways, Jason into this guy and Barry into another one. It's going to be an awesome video on the DRC when anybody gets a chance to look at it. But big Jason Jameson ended up coming back with getting the win. And at the end of it, I went down in Victory Lane. I had the video camera on my shoulder. He was a little hesitant to let me take the video, but he thanked Darrell Lanigan for setting the car up for him, and it pretty much proved that most of those guys were outclassed that night. I'll tell you that. Well,
so with this, is this typically your guys' seasonal ending race? Is this the race that really ends the year for you guys?
Yeah, pretty much. This is the end of it up here. It's usually about this time. The weather was nice this weekend for a change. Usually it's down in the 30s at night, and I remember last year I thought the racetrack was going to freeze up. It was still tacky, but it was so cold. You really thought everything was just going to freeze over. So yeah, if you can get racing in at this time of year, that you got to call it the end.
Yeah, the weather here, this is finally, it's like the last 4 or 5 years, it's been already cold by this time. But I was in shorts and t-shirt today. We could be racing right now. Kyle May, what are your thoughts on 2011? Sum up 2011 through your eyes. To your eyes, go.
Perspective as, what do you mean? Like, I mean, the past season on us, or the past season on
just give me Kyle May.
I had a lot of fun, really. I mean, all in all, I had a lot of fun. You know, when y'all guys, I interviewed with y'all, and it was a very nerve-wracking interview because I never had done anything like that, and I was real worried about it for like 3 weeks afterwards, and finally, Mark decided on me, and then I went to the beach. We was going to stay like a week and a day. Mark was like, "You want to race this weekend?" I was like, "Yeah." So we came home and went racing, and it's been going good ever since. I tore up some tires and wheels and body parts, but that wasn't nothing I wouldn't have done in my own car, so I didn't do it on purpose, I can tell you that. But I don't think Mark was too mad about it. Darryl said he didn't care, but he wasn't the one working on it, what Mark said, so. Like I said, I had a lot of fun.
Mark Stevens is the crew chief, and Darryl Weaver is the owner of Old Man's Garage. Yeah, but you didn't tear up anything by your own doing. You were.
No, I don't think.
You helped along quite a bit.
Yeah, I got the short end of the stick a few times, I can say. I mean, which obviously no race car driver's going to say anything is their own fault, but I try not to put my car any place it wouldn't go. So, like I said, I have to give back to Darryl what he gives to me, and he does a great job. Like I said, he puts me in a good car every time we go out on the racetrack, and I try to do the best of what I can.
Well, every now and then you got to knock a fender off of it, Kyle. I mean, come on, we aren't racing on mile tracks.
The first race I won in that car this year, we had a flat. We got hit, had a flat, come in, changed it, went back out, started in the back and won. So the whole driver's side was pretty much caved in, and I about couldn't get out of the car because of the way it was caved in. So, but it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely fun.
I had a few. Isn't it amazing how just, taking them shots there in that driver's door to pop that sheet metal up and take that 12-inch opening to a 5-inch opening?
Yeah. It's like I need somebody with a hammer to go over there and knock it down so I can get out.
I wonder how many guys actually think about that. Just from a serious standpoint, have you ever thought about, if that door gets knocked in like that and I flip over on my roof, how else am I going to get out of this car if something starts burning?
I thought about it a lot. I mean, especially right after, after the race is over with, you think, well, I got hit, but what if it had been worse? You know what I mean? What if it had hit me and knocked me over or anything else? So that's right. I agree with you there.
Now, is that wrong, Webb? I mean, should we even be thinking about what ifs? Like I've had guys tell me to take that word out of my vocabulary. There should be no if in your vocabulary.
As far as like what could happen, or you mean you should have no what ifs? Like what if I would just done this? As far as a move you could have made, is that what you're trying to tell me?
No ifs, period. No such thing. Word disappears out of the language. Then what? No, I mean
you maybe I shouldn't have done that. if you take what ifs out, right? So you're racing. Say, well, what if I would have charged a little bit harder to that corner, or what if I'd drove up underneath the guy? Could I have made it out? You never know. Now, if you try and it don't work, you can just always say, well, maybe I should have done that.
Right. So no ifs. Not allowed to have ifs anymore.
But you gotta have a race. I mean, Kyle May at 20 years old said one of the things he said. Sometimes he said, "Do I fight for that $200 or $300 second place finish? Do I fight for it?"
Yeah, you fight for it. You don't quit. You ain't supposed to ever stop. You never quit. You keep going. It don't matter if you're 2 laps down. You keep going. That's my philosophy. Never quit.
I totally agree. Now, what his point was is he said that do I bring home $800 worth of damage though if I don't get second place? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you just take care of your race car. Unnecessary risk sometimes. Take care of race cars is a good thing. Sometimes.
Would that be the unnecessary slide job on Dale McDowell?
No, I don't know if that was unnecessary. All right, we're going to switch gears here. Jason, we got you on now?
Yes, sir.
Jason Neely, how you doing?
I'm doing good tonight. How are you?
Man, I had a mild panic attack. One of my interviews left me hanging, so we're so glad that you're here now. Introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, and what you bring to the sport of dirt track racing. Go.
All right. I'm Jason M. Neely of the Jason M. Neely Foundation Race to Cure Parkinson's. What I do is I try to raise Parkinson's awareness in the young and old through racing, and my involvement in racing goes all the way back to my grandfather. My grandfather raced on dirt back in the 50s and 60s, and just kept evolving from there. Owning my dad, building race cars on up through the years, and eventually I bought my own dirt late model, and that got cut short by Parkinson's disease, because I do have advanced Parkinson's disease, and I'm 37 years old. I was diagnosed at the age of 32 with this disease, and that's basically what I do. Is I've got a lot of drivers that are helping me push this, that are donating the spot on their race car for my logo, and it's just it's a good thing. One of the things that we're doing is we're not only just raising Parkinson's awareness, but we're trying to help other charities as well, such as St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and if we can't help kids, then we don't need to be helping anybody. We can help kids, the kids especially. So that's one of my main focuses and goals, is to try to help with them. And that's basically it. That's basically what I got going on. We had kind of a rough start to this year. We had some bashers on the internet that tried to say that I didn't even have Parkinson's disease and whatnot, but those people fall by the wayside because people that lie and tell stuff like that. It's funny how some people get jealous of certain things. I guess of the racing community helping me out the way they do and whatnot. I say everybody's been good to me.
Yeah, I know what you're feeling there, Jason. Trust me, the whole internet thing. 95% of them people don't know what the heck they're talking about. But you're right. I do honestly believe that half of the people that are on there just look for some reason to hate on somebody.
Totally true.
Now, Jason, the Parkinson's disease is thought of by most people, as something that only afflicts the older generation, the seniors. What did your doctors tell you? Or first of all, your reaction to it when they told you, and then is it commonplace for, because you're only a year younger than me, is it commonplace for a guy in his 30s to have Parkinson's?
Well, what happened was I was a truck driver, was what I did for a living, and I purchased a dirt late model, like I was saying, and was getting ready to go racing, and was getting a little seat time at renting tracks or whatnot, renting a couple local tracks here in Middle Tennessee, and I got sick, and I went to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, where they diagnosed me with advanced Parkinson's disease and told me that I would never drive a track trailer again, or didn't need to be behind the wheel of a race car or anything. So it was a big shock. Like I said, I was 32 years old when I was diagnosed with this, and not only was they taking away my
well,
as far as racing, as far as racing myself. So it's kind of a hard pill to swallow,
So I didn't catch you. Kind of broke up a little bit. Did the doctors explain to you why? I mean, I can't. You got real back garbled.
They really don't know, because there's no case on either side of my family. We've researched my family history. There's no case on either side of my family. they really don't have a known. There's really not a known reason for this. They got a few different speculations and a few different theories, but as far as the actual pinpointing exactly what's happened, they really don't know.
Well, all right, now, so you said you experienced some bashing. Mr. Gray touched on that. You said in a prior conversation that the bashing led to some litigation, some court stuff. Do you care to elaborate on that?
Well, what it led to, it got so ugly, and it was by a couple people that I've never even met in my life. I contacted an attorney about it, and if it would have went any further, I was going to be able to press charges on them for defamation of character and whatnot. But I didn't have to go that far with it. Once they got a phone call from the attorneys, they dropped. They ran like scared dogs. So all the bashing stopped. But as far as I know, anyway, I'm not getting any feedback from anybody telling me that anybody's bashing me anymore. So plus the people who meet me and everything at different racetracks and stuff all over. I mean, I'm definitely 100% legitimate with this. I'm not some kind of scam artist, a con artist trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes or anything. I'm just somebody that has Parkinson's disease, been involved in racing since I was a little kid, and that's my outlet as far as who I pinpoint to try to help raise awareness, awareness through the disease I have. And there's no known cure for Parkinson's at this point. Well,
what is the website that your foundation has?
Our website is www.jmnfoundation22.org. I can also be found on Facebook. I've got a couple pages on Facebook. Jason and Neely Foundation Race to Cure Parkinson's, the Mud Mafia, and I'm also on racing.com.
Well, and also you guys are putting together a car to help raise awareness. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, what we have planned for 2012 is we're planning on putting together a dirt lake model, and of course putting my logo and the other businesses that help out as far as donating parts or materials or time involved in building this car, and we plan on taking it and promoting it all next year and at different racetracks and selling raffle tickets to the car and raffling it off about this time next year and giving somebody a brand new late model dirt car. With all the proceeds going to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
And now on your website, it shows the sticker that people run. Who are some of the drivers that over the last couple of years that have been supporting your charity?
Well, we got a number of drivers this year. A couple of track champions around the Middle Tennessee area. We had Caleb Ashby. He's a big supporter. Him and his family. Josh Putnam. He was the Southern Regional Racing Series SRS points champion this year and won multiple races all over the Southeast. Gary Tucker, he was the Winchester Speedway track champion this year. And let me see, we got a couple of names that helped us out. I got in touch this weekend over at the Gobbler in Cleveland, Tennessee, with Outlaw Race Parts owner Doug Johnson, and they're gonna run my logo on all their race cars next year in 2012. And also Riley Hickman Racing. He contacted me today and wants to run the logo too, as well as Ohms Racing out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So
yeah, Doug Johnson, he's a good dude. I actually know him from my daytime job. All right, Jason, I appreciate you coming on InThe Dirt. What's the next big event that your charity is going to be looking to raise awareness at?
The next event we're going to try to visit. We're going to try to be at the Ice Bowl and Talladega Short Track. I'm not sure the exact date on that, but we're going to try to be at the high school this year.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate you coming on, and anytime you have any kind of announcement that goes along with your charity, you're welcome on my show. Get a hold of me on Facebook, and I'll help you promote whatever you got going on. That's Jason. What was the website again, Jason?
You still there?
Yeah. What was the website again?
I definitely appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on here. I appreciate each and everybody out there.
Not a problem. That's Jason Neely. When we come back, we will have Mr. Sizemore will be on with us. Is that correct, Brian?
I believe Mr. Sizemore should be calling in here any minute. We're gonna get him on the line. Team 5-Star is gonna be representing here in just a few.
Team 5-Star in the house when we come back on In the Dirt. Welcome back, race fans.
Back, Webb.
You back, Ryan?
Oh yeah, I had to run upstairs and grab me some more Coke.
I hear you. I got sweet tea this evening. Brian, we got
sweet tea would be
John.
Nice. Sweet
tea is the official recreational elixir of the South. It's got so much sugar in it. I think a diabetic can probably suffer from just standing next to a glass. But it's good. It's good. With us is John Sizemore. Brian, that's your cue.
Hey, John, you with us?
Yeah, hey, Brian, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
Real good. How's Webb doing?
Listen, I got so flustered earlier because I couldn't get my file, but I have found this file. We will have the interview from Queensland, Australia. Other than that, John, I'm doing great. How are you?
Real good, buddy. Webb, did you know I was the 2011 Muller Raceway Park Mechanics Race Champion?
Congratulations. No, Brian took, Brian was gonna get all that from you. So your driver
been holding that information back, I guess.
John hadn't got the race all year. Now there's a story. John's been working on getting his program back together. Now John's been racing around here for quite a while now. I think since like 98, 99. Is that when you started driving a late model?
Yeah, about 98.
And you just pretty much stayed over at Brown County Speedway, right?
Yeah, I've just done a lot of racing at Brown County Speedway, a great little racetrack. Wish it was still there.
Yeah, and that's one place that I never got to run at, but John has helped me out a ton over the last couple of years, and most people know that. And what I was talking about before, Webb, when I was telling you, hey, don't quit. This guy gives you some of the best, hype up sessions you ever been to. We sitting in the garage the night before, and he'll get me fired up so much I'm ready to go racing on Thursday night, and then Friday comes around and he don't show up till it's race time. I need him there to boost me up again.
Need some of that therapy. Racing therapy.
Most people involved in racing need therapy.
Racing therapy goes a long way.
That's right.
Now, John didn't run most of the year, with the exception of the mechanics race, and I guess that's what made you legal to run the mechanics race, because technically you were Mike Myers' crew chief all year, right?
Yeah, I've not raced for two seasons now, so I'm officially a mechanic, so that kind of qualifies me for the mechanics race. And then on top of that, I tried to get a ride in the powder puff race this weekend. I had a ride and I couldn't sit in the darn seat, so which that was a problem. So, but
just fitting in the seat.
More laps. Yeah, the seat was a problem. I need a little bigger seat in the car. So
wait a second, you're going to be in the powder puff race? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I was going to mechanic race and then powder puff race. So I'm just trying to get any ride I can get, Webb.
Well, I had read good luck John Sizemore in a powder puff race, and I thought, well, whoever said that don't like John, because powder puff's listen, John, I don't know, but that's the girl race, ain't it?
They were going to put a wig on.
A wig?
I'm trying to run a few laps, any way I can do it.
I got you. I'm on the same page now.
I think next year, hopefully they're going to let me run for Rookie of the Year there at Muller, so since I've been out for 2 seasons, hopefully I can get in for Rookie of the Year and see what I can do there. But I just like racing, Webb, and I tell you, I would like to give hats off to Moeller Raceway Park for what kind of track they had in the middle of November. I tell you, they had an awesome race Saturday night.
Give us the skinny on the northern version of the Gobbler.
Say that one more time, Webb. I didn't hear you, buddy.
I'm sorry. Give us the skinny on the northern version. We had a Gobbler down south here too, over there at Cleveland Speedway. But what?
I tell you what,
give us...
we had some rainy weather beginning of the week, and I was kind of actually worried they weren't going to get the race in, and they must have worked their tails off over at Moeller's. And we went up. Everybody showed up there Saturday, and that track was in just pristine condition. Wasn't running up. They had worked on it all week, as it looked like, and they had a barn burner. They had a heck of a race.
And it was hammered down.
Hammered down. The track slicked off a little, but there was a little bit of brown in the track, so there was traction all over the place. And they had some out-of-towners there. The local guys were there, and they just had an awesome, awesome show. And that is a nice little racetrack. No doubt about it.
So typically, it's not November racing is not what you would call ideal in southern Ohio or
not really. There, we get a little moisture this time of year, and the ground just can't take it. But they somehow they got it in. I have no idea how they prepped the track like they did, but they did a fabulous job on the racetrack, and it was one of the better tracks I've seen over there all year long. I'll be honest with you. The track had bite in it, and not many ruts for November. I'll tell you that.
Well, the last half of the year too, though, John. If you think back, they were dumping it. Either we got some rain in the week, and they were still dumping water on it, so they kind of got used to getting it prepped up when it was nice and wet. Anyway, I think.
I think so. They absolutely did a great job, and the job that Jason Jamison did was unbelievable. Barry Doss was unreal. Mike Myers was running awesome. Freddie Carpenter was fast. I mean, there were just some awesome guys there, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
Jamison driving from 16th, from what Brian Gray told me. Did he pass the cars in front of him, or was it an attrition race? Or
no, he passed the majority of the cars, but now I tell you, he was just class of the field, and he had got all the way up in the second place, and he and Barry Doss were dicing around, and he and Barry put on a heck of a show there at the end, and hats off to both of them. Those guys are awesome. There's no question.
Did you see when Jason was trying to pick Barry with was it Trey Collins? Was he the one in the 11?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought there was going to be a 4-wide slamming into the wall session right there, and I got it all on video too. I hope Jody uses it.
It was interesting. I mean, it was a fun race to watch. They were definitely dicing around everywhere. So pretty good weekend.
With it being a late season race, what was the crowd like? Was it well? You never did. What was the temperature exactly there? Was the crowd good?
It was in the upper 50s. I think it broke into the 60s there towards the late afternoon, and from what I seen, the crowd was there. I was busy all night.
I think they had a fairly good crowd. I think they had a pretty good turnout for November, and November racing around here is kind of unheard of. I mean, it's getting a little late, so it was definitely a good weekend to go. We haven't raced for a few weekends, and a lot of fun to go over and see everybody run, that's for sure.
Well, who is the promoter or track owner of Moeller? And they deserve a lot of credit for getting that track prepared.
Kevin and Kim Moeller, I believe.
Does Moeller Speedway have a website?
Yeah, they're the ones that put the work in. MoellerRacewayPark.com is the website. Another good instance about how hammered down the racetrack was. We brought a new guy out there this weekend, and John calls me. I don't know what time did you get a hold of him, about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and asked me if I was coming out.
Yeah, probably about 1, I guess.
He says, is that boy going to drive that car? And I was like, yeah, he's going to drive it. He was like, man, you might really want to think about getting in that thing, because it's going to be flat out hammered down when he gets there, and he's never been in a race car before.
You said on the internet you had brought this. So what kind of car did you bring for this young fella's drive?
Well, it wasn't my car. This was a guy that contacted me. He just sent me an email. He's an avid race fan, and he wanted to get into racing. And I talked with him a little bit, and I really tried to get him to get into like a street stock or something, some kind of beginner class. He says no. I've autocrossed cars before, and I want to be in something fast. And he was like, I want it to be a late model. And I was like, well, it's not as easy as it looks. And he found out.
Did he have a car? Did you have a car to take back with you? He
had a car to actually, John drove that car, didn't you?
Yeah, a few years back I drove it.
Yeah, the cars that he bought, John had driven before. And they're not bad rides, and he's got one hell of a motor in this thing, let me tell you. It's a big, like, 441 Joe Ryan SB2. And he stepped on the gas. Yeah, that pretty much got it. It pretty much got her done. It only took 30 feet.
Well, not only is Brian Gray a champion to us, he's also a steward of the sport, bringing in new guys. Well, Mr. Sizemore, I appreciate you coming in on In the Dirt. Wish you all the luck in that Rookie of the Year bid. The Rookie of the Year bid next year.
2012 is going to be the year for Team 5 Stars return, right?
That's it, Rookie of the Year. Coming back to the rookies.
What are we sporting?
Schwartz chassis from Mike Myers Racing.
Awesome.
Hey,
it's going to have an XD4 front end on it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Shameless plug. All right, well, Mr. Sizemore, appreciate you. Are welcome anytime on In the Dirt. When we come back to In the Dirt, finally, we will have the pre-recorded interview with Scott Geary, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, race fans. Brian, old John, he seems like a good one.
John's the best. And that dude, if you ever seen him drive, he's the absolute smoothest, one of the smoothest guys you ever seen in your life.
Well, it's always good to have, like you said, local, regional hot shoes on. Man, tonight has just been, boy, that really threw me for a loop not finding that interview. But we're going to move along to it right now. Let me go ahead and let's just make sure this thing's going to play. I had to switch it to another computer. And let's see what we got here.
All right, race fans.
There we go.
We got on the telephone here via Skype from Queensland, Australia, Scott Geary. Scott Geary is a representative of Geary Motorsports. His father's Paul Geary. Scott, how are you guys doing down there?
Yeah, going great, thanks, mate.
Scott, tell my listeners a little bit about the form of auto racing, dirt auto racing, that your family participates in.
We participate in super scene racing, which is very similar to the late models, but obviously we drive on the right-hand side. Most of the guys are running 32-inch tyres. We have an engine size limit of 367 cubes. We mainly run on methanol, and the tracks over here are mainly little quarter-mile bull rings. Other than that, we use... yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen some video of the tracks, and they're narrow, too. Is that not correct? I remember that.
Yeah, it is. We compete with, like you guys do, with a lot of other sports at nights, and families don't want to come to tracks where the kids are getting covered in dust. They're sitting there getting covered in dust. They can't see what's going on, paying their hard-earned cash. So a lot of the promoters do pour a lot of water into it.
Brian, you there?
Yep.
I don't know what's wrong with this file. I thought it was playing fine. I can't monitor, and that's the biggest problem.
It was playing fine for a minute, and then it just stopped out of the blue.
Well, I don't, and not to have this discussion on air, but somebody started calling my Skype, and I don't know if that's what did it or if it didn't. We'll try it one more time, try it again, one more time, and that's it. I'm already I'm already beyond.
Yeah, we heard him talking about wetting the track down, so I was kind of interested to hear about that.
Correct?
Yeah, the right-hand side. Most of the guys are running 32-inch tyres. We have an engine size limit of 367 cubes. We mainly run on methanol, and the tracks over here are mainly little quarter-mile bull rings. Other than that, we use... yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've seen some video of the tracks, and they're narrow, too. Is that not correct?
Yeah, they're pretty narrow. Most of the ones we run on 2 wide. You may get 3 wide if you're running against guys that are really good. And they're normally pretty hooked up at the start of the night too. Like real heavy, tacky tracks from the very start. So a little bit different to what some of you guys are used to. If you guys run a lot slicker tracks than what we do.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed right off the bat, and plus with conversations with your dad, is that you guys put that water to it, and that's your father told me that's because the fans refuse to come when the track's dusty. Is that or is that fair to assume? Or I seem to remember that.
Yeah, it is. We compete with, like you guys do, with a lot of other sports at nights, and families don't want to come to tracks where the kids are getting covered in dust. They're sitting there getting covered in dust. They can't see what's going on, paying their hard-earned cash. So a lot of the promoters do pour a lot of water into the tracks. Up until recently, we had gone through a drought, so we did have a lot of slick tracks because there was water restrictions. But now we just went through a flood not long ago, so obviously water restrictions are off again, and the tracks are going to become hooked up again. So it's always a changing game. You might have a car good on all the slick tracks, and then season later all the tracks are hooky again. So it's always good fun. I personally like it when the tracks are nice and hooky. If we were going to have a slick track, I'd rather have it a rough track, so it sorts out all the cars who can get the suspension package right.
Now, how old is the form of racing known as the super sedan?
Super sedans have been around from about 1983, 84. But previously, before that, they ran Grand Nationals, but they faded them out just due to the size of them and the size of our tracks. And basically, the Division Super Sedans was created out of that. And along with time and technology, the cars have got faster, engines have got better, and we still run pretty good lap times. Most of the guys, we use a 32-inch tyre compared to the 29-inch tyre that you guys use over in the States. We don't have any restrictions on how much stagger we can run. So, yeah.
Now, people have run the sprint cars down there for years, and you've had Americans come down there, run sprint cars, and from other countries people coming. Talk to us about how long ago was the late model introduced to Australia?
Probably about 10 years ago, the late model was introduced. It's a pretty big division over in Western Australia. We do have them on the East Coast, but there's not as many. Late models it's another option for the guys that want to go tin top racing. But the premier tin top division is super sedans over here. We also get Americans over here. We've had the likes of Steve Francis. We've had Charlie Schwartz, John Gill. Also, we had Scott Bloomquist a long, long time ago. They've all run in super sedans at some point. So John Saws, John Saws used to bring a team out to run against the Australian drivers, and we used to have test matches that used to pull really big crowds. And unfortunately that's died off a bit. So they used to pull some of the biggest crowds super sedan racing had seen.
And your dad, now, Paul Geary, your father, he's a champion not too long ago, wasn't he? Give me a little history about Mr. Paul and his racing efforts.
Yep. My father, Paul, he's been running for about 24 years, and just slowly over time built up to the good equipment. I'm the crew chief on it, and my two younger brothers do a lot of help us out with the work on the car as well. Grant, one of my youngest brothers, he's just built us this brand new chassis we should be debuting in the next week or so. Along with Alan Turner, who designed the chassis. We've been running the Alan Turner chassis for a good 10 years now, and we've had some really good success. We've won what we have, which is a pretty prestigious race over on the East Coast here, which is called the East Coast Grand National. We won that a couple of years ago, and just recently, 2 seasons ago, we won our Queensland state-based championship series, and that was conducted over 12 rounds, and yeah, we won that for the very first time.
Now, there's also an open wheel modified in your guys' stable. Who's driving that car?
Grant. Grant drives that. It's only his second season. He's had a few runs in it. He had a couple of runs in it late last year, and a couple of practices already for this season, and he's showing some good improvements already. I'm starting to really understand what to do with the car and how to set a car up. He was always a spinner man. He never had the knowledge of track knowledge to what I got given to when I was younger. And Daniel and Grant are actually twins, and Daniel's learning the track side of it now, which is pretty cool to be able to pass some of the knowledge down. It's pretty awesome to go racing with the whole family involved.
The one thing that I also noticed when I started doing business with your father is I really like the idea of having those pit shirts that your family wears at the track. I think that really makes it just puts a little professional spin on it. Well, it hasn't taken. You would think over here with the magazines and the Dirt on Dirt and the people that there's enough attention here that you would think that would be something that would take off here. How long have you guys been wearing the team uniforms to the Speedway?
Yeah, as long as we can remember, we've always had crew shirts. Like, I can remember being 5, 6 years old and having my own crew shirt, and the crew always had their own shirts. Over time, the shirts have changed. We've gone from the old T-shirts. Now we wear polo shirts that they're like a screen printing on them. And it's basically just to stand out of the crowd, so people want to buy our shirts off us. It's advertisement to the crowd when we do go to the real big race meetings like state titles, Australian titles, and the big dollar shows. And at the end of the night, you don't know who you're talking to from the fans that come in the pits, and they normally like colour, anything that's bright. So yeah, we've just got some new ones printed up. I'll send you through a photo of them when we all got them on. They're just as bright, and yeah, they look really professional.
Now, I've noticed that if you go to any of the websites covering Australian auto racing, that a lot of there wouldn't be so-called series, I guess, but there's clubs. Explain the difference between, like, we run a Lucas Oil Series, World Outlaw Series. Explain to me the difference, how you guys do it down there.
We have a club base, so guys have to join a club first, and that's the club they belong to. We do have series at the moment. Like in Super Stands, at the moment we've got the Hoddo Holmes Queensland Super Stand Series, which OMG is a sponsor on board, which is awesome. So basically what happens, they join that, and that's basically a club. You got to belong to a club to be able to race in any meeting. And then from there we've got a sanctioning body, which is called our QSCA, and then they answer. It's just basically a big tree of who you answer to. It's a bit like belonging to a football club and say Dallas Cowboys, and you belong in the NFL. It's that type of deal. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Do you guys?
No, you're right.
Do you guys run the kind of the format that the late models do, like they have like the three heats in a feature, or is that strictly the late model guys doing that?
No, we run very similar: 3 heats, a dash, and a final, all in the one night. There is a little bit of experimenting going on now with average of finish is where you start your first heat a night. So if you win the feature race the previous week, you won't start off the front row for your heats at all. So that's at one track. They've just brought that in. They're trying to get a bit more passing going on. But yeah, generally it's 3 heats, roughly about 10 to 12 laps a heat. We'll run a 6-lap dash and then a 30 to 40 lap feature race at the end of the night. So yeah, it's all full on. It's a busy night of work on the race car, that's for sure.
Well, all right, Scott, before we wrap this interview up, can you give me, of course, I want you to tell everybody about your guys' new website. Yep,
it's shockaborbotherapy.com is where you'll find just our website with information on what we're starting to stock. Also, we will be having updates on our racing, videos, and write-ups, obviously, photos, and any information you want to have about us, you can find it on there.
And also, what's the club website?
The club website is supersedan.com.au. You'll find all the latest information on the Queensland Super Sedans.
Well, Scott, I really appreciate you pre-recording this interview with me here on In the Dirt. Make sure that you tell your father hello. I'm sure he'll listen to it. So hey, Paul. And before we go to end it all out, where do you see Geary Motorsports in the next 10 years? How do the Sons take this thing further?
Well, at this point, it looks like Grant will take over the reins in the next couple of years. He's the one that's driving at the moment. Daniel and myself will probably end up crewing, and the old man will probably sit back and watch and just lend a hand where he can. I think Grant's going to be a pretty good driver. He's a pretty switched on guy when he's in the car. And Daniel, he's getting better with the tools and learning real fast about how to set a race car up. So yeah, it should be good in the next couple of years to see what happens.
Well, Scott, like I said, thank you for joining us here on In the Dirt, and we'll be in touch, man.
No, than's Webb. Hope you guys have a good one over there, eh?
You're going to have to call these guys up in the middle of the night, Webb.
I can't do that. What do y'all think about Mr. Scott and talking? Listen, I just like talking to the guys. I love the Australian accent. I guess it's a lot like when me and my wife go back to Indiana. They just want to hear you talk. The accent gets everybody. Those guys. Those tracks are so chunked up because I guess the fans, they just will not come. And could you imagine over here if the fans could dictate the track surface?
Well, I guess they kind of do in a way.
I don't know.
If they show up if you see, groups of fans showing up to tacky, fast, hammer down racetracks, and nobody's showing up when it's, slick and dusty. That's like capitalism at its best, isn't it?
Kyle May, you still with us?
Yeah.
I'm here. Those guys there, and actually, it's funny, the crew shirts she's talking about, I'm actually going to have one. I'm going to hopefully have one by the time the Indy show rolls around. So I will get to wear a Geary Motorsports OMG sponsored shirt there at the Indianapolis Trade Show. That'd be cool.
The thing I thought was interesting was he was talking about that you had to belong to a club.
Yeah.
To race.
That was interesting, I thought, as well.
Well, how that works is the club goes to the speedway and says, I can bring you so many drivers, say 40. And then then from there, of course, it's probably, but I think they pay so much to be in the club, but then the track pays so many per driver showing up or something to that effect. But it's more of a traveling, it's a traveling series, basically. They just make their own deals.
So is it just that, do they lack, like, cars to make the races? I mean, you know, like in certain areas, or, you know, even in the northern part of the country, that's what dictates why certain tracks don't run late models and some tracks don't run sprint cars. Because it's just not the teams available to even show up. No, and
the racing down there as a whole, I would say, is probably most heaviest in the sprint cars. They've been racing them for years down there. I mean, like Foyt's gone down there and won. Other drivers have gone down there. He said, you heard the World Outlaw guys that were down there.
I remember, wasn't it a couple years ago, Tony Stewart went down there and ran the late models. So there's always guys coming from here going down there to run during the winter.
Yeah. This year, like Jeep Van Wormer always goes down there, I think. He'll be down there again this year. I think Steve Francis is one of them. Not sure the other two going. They'll be going to, I think, the West Coast and running in the R2C series. Mm-hmm. And we've actually got a guy down there, and I'll have him on here in the near future, Matt Goodlad. He runs a little bit of the old man's garage parts for us down there, and he's running actually third after 4 meets. And they call them meets. Instead of a race, they call it meets. So after 4 meets, he's running third to Oldfield, and I know I'll say it wrong, but Bosenberg, I think is the guy's name. I got to meet the guy who's leading the points down there at Portsmouth this year. And those guys come over here just as much, it seems like. So, yeah, very interesting to talk to people down in Australia about dirt track racing. And the cool thing is the only thing that's different is how we talk, because those guys are just as nuts and crazy about the sport as we are.
Yeah. I sell some parts to, there's a guy that comes up here usually through the summer. I won't mention his name, but he usually gets a crate load of parts and has a ship back there. I guess he's a dealer down in the Queensland area. And that's why I said just call him up at 5 and 2 or 3 in the morning. He gives me his number. He gives me a number that's in Australia, and if I need to get a hold of him, I've got to call there. Well, I don't wait till midnight to call. I call him in the middle of the afternoon and wake somebody up at 2.
No, we've got a little system. Paul, Geary, and I, we honestly, we do a lot of our business on Facebook. I mean, Facebook is the easiest way to talk with those folks down there. And I don't want to call nobody in the middle of the night, because I don't want them to return the favor. Brian Gray will never have my phone number, hopefully, to call me in the middle of the night. Did you happen to hear?
Drunk dial you at 2 in the morning?
Well, if you're getting range, my wife knows how to use weapons. So, did you happen to hear him when Bloomquist had come down there and raced one of the super sedans?
Yeah.
I wonder if they recognized his greatness.
I wonder how is there any like how did he do?
I've seen there is a picture, and I can't remember. I guess it would be, you would search the super sedans.
I mean, that's the truth of the matter. If he went down there and kicked their butt, and he don't race down there regular. So if he went down there and really stuck it to him, then that has to say something.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him, and I think you go to supersedan.com.au would be that. And also, fans out there listening, if you'd go to shockabsorbertherapy.com, that is the Geary family website. They sell parts there on the East Coast. Well, guys, this has been one of the more interesting technical difficulty shows. I apologize to my listeners. Brian, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? What's your big plans?
Well, I'm going to go to Granny's house and pig out and probably just keep working on these engines. It seems like I used to do this stuff on a regular basis, and I could spit these things out left and right, but now that I'm building them for myself, it seems like it takes me a lot longer.
Splitting hairs, that's what you're doing. You're trying to make it better, I'm sure. Well,
I'm trying to make sure that it don't tear up. That's the thing.
That's where you start at, make sure it don't tear up.
Yeah.
Kyle May, Turkey Day, what are you doing on Turkey Day?
The whole family thing. I go eat Thursday, and then I think we're having a dinner thing, so I will probably pile up on some leftovers about supper time, go to sleep about 5, and then go Friday and work on the race car. So that's my plans for the weekend.
Well, Turkey Day is upon us. Of course, I'm going to pig out. Looking forward to dressing, as they call it here, stuffing, as they call it up north, whatever. There's not anything bad going to be made. I'd like to thank my guest this week, Mr. Sizemore, John Sizemore.
Team 5-star. Bringing the sack to the black.
I'm Brian Gray, quotable. Also, I'd like to thank Scott Geary. Hopefully, they're down there at the race shop. It's about lunchtime down there, and hopefully they're listening, and maybe they're not questioning talking to me. Also, like to thank Mr. Jason Neely, Race for a Cure for Parkinson's. To me, that kind of thing is what this show is about. I like bringing those types of stories out to life. I mean, there's much more to our sport than just the goings-on of the racetracks and which track was wet and which track was crap and all that stuff. So anybody out there, if you've got a message or a platform, please get a hold of me at inthedirtradio@gmail.com, inthedirtradio@gmail.com. Any final words, Mr. Gray?
I pretty much said it all.
Kyle May, final words.
Just a happy Thanksgiving, and everybody have a safe weekend. All that stuff.
Hey, Kim and Kevin Moeller, if it's warm this weekend, have a race.
Just have a race, just an impromptu race.
Just do it. I'll bet there'll be 20 cars there, at least 30.
What is Moeller's website again?
MoellerRacewayPark.com.
MoellerRacewayPark.com. Everybody go visit them. They did a wonderful job, it sounds like.
And don't forget the DRC.net.
And the DRC.net, Mr. Jody Shannon. We missed him this evening, but we've got more shows coming up. From everybody here at In the Dirt, we wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Please be safe over the holidays. And we're going to get out of here, so peace out.